the human side. And I met Kayla at one of the MANRRS regional cluster meetings. We were recruiting there, and I just fell in love with her spirit, with her energy, and I can see now from her putting this entire event together, I was right about her all along, and I'm going to continue to pursue her to ensure that she stands to be one of those millennials and one of those students that she was just speaking about who changes the face of diversity, who changes pretty much the world. I don't want to sound cliche, but I know she will do that. And I hope to help whoever is on this call who's feeling that way as well, attain that as well. So I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Miss Victoria. Like she said, I wasn't even expecting it. I took a chance to go get in line at one of our conferences that we told you all about in the past. For MANRRS, we have conferences where you go, you put yourself out there, and you walk up to people with confidence, and things like this can happen where you don't even expect it, but they can turn to your mentor who's helping you get through life. And so another one of those people for me is Dr. Robinson. So I met him earlier this year, and I'd love for him to give his intro as well.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. George Robinson. I'm the founder and CEO of Heartland Veterinary Partners. We're a group that consolidates veterinary practices and then takes away all the administrative headache of veterinary medicine and lets the doctors practice. My company has started with, I guess, zero, and it's well over valued well over $180 million. And I did all that in 3 years. So I'm tired, but I guess the root of the matter is I am a veterinarian. I went to, I'm from Baton Rouge. I went to Southern Lab, Southern University for my undergraduate in animal science. And I got my veterinary degree at LSU, first African-American from Louisiana to graduate. So when I came to LSU's veterinary school, well, needless to say, there weren't many Black folks there. So I definitely have perspective. Through the years, I've owned my private practices. I've been very involved in a lot of different aspects of life, civic involvement, business, community government. I've been on the board of Southern's Foundation. I'm presently on the board of LSU's foundation, and just a lot of different things. I'm one of those people who likes to get involved. So I have a lot of stories to tell. Glad to do it. Kayla, did we find each other on the internet, or I was at the school, or where?
So actually, you were at a football game. At least is what my advisor told me. You were at a football game, and he asked you if you would be interested.
I remember.
And being my mentor.
I think I had a drink in my hand. What are you talking about? Yes, I remember now.
Yeah.
And yes, and I was just so happy to meet you, because when I get in environments where I'm the only African American, I'm constantly, first of all, I'm not one of those quiet African Americans. I mean, you know, everybody knows I'm a brother, and I'm pleased and pleasantly surprised to be that, and glad to say it. And so he was asking me something, and I did mention that not a lot of minority presence, like what's going on? And that's when he said, well, you know, if you like to mentor, if you like to identify some students, let me know. I said, there you go. You know, do it. I'm more than happy to do that. I've been connecting and mentoring students for quite a while, and I enjoy it.
Well, thank you so much. And yeah, see y'all, that's another reason why y'all need to stay involved, get close to your advisors, and don't be afraid to put yourself out there and just ask. He also spoke last Friday at the alumni series, and just let us know, don't be afraid to be that one person who reaches out to the big boss, be that one person who just goes out their way, because that stands out. And so again, we are minorities. We're going to be representing ourselves, and not just that, we're going to be paving the way for others coming up behind us. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and give it to Keenon to go ahead and start our questions.
Okay, this is the first question. As a minority, do you ever feel like an outsider in the workplace? If so, how do you overcome those feelings and continue to move forward?
I'll go ahead and start off if that's okay, Dr. Robinson. I asked Kayla, first of all, I'm going to be transparent. I asked Kayla for the questions before him because I didn't want to be blindsided and, stuck like a deer in the headlights. And when I came across this question, I shook my head because we are currently experiencing what I like to call, oh, wow. And I'll explain what that means. So I am one of 7 Black sales reps in Elanco. And there are 240 of us on the companion animal health side. And the rest of the company, even though we go to national sales meetings and we see each other all together once a year, we see each other. And you can literally pick us out of a crowd. Everyone was like, oh, wow, I didn't know that. So ever since I started, I have been the only or one of the only in this space. And it's been like that for 5 years. It's extremely uncomfortable. It's frustrating at times. It's disheartening. It's mental in a sense because it weighs on you. You feel like you always have to be on. You feel like there's this added pressure that is placed on you, whether it's from your upbringing or while you were in school, what you learned, what the workforce would be like. You just place these unnecessary pressures on yourself on top of trying to maneuver and being one of the only. In the beginning, it was very hard for me to get through it. I'm a millennial myself. I'm on a little bit of the older end of the millennium train than some of you, but I was never the type of person to just stay quiet and be a fly on the wall. I'll walk into a room like, I'm the only one here. And I'll say it out loud, like Dr. Robinson said, loud and proud. The way that you get around that, and for me, the way that I'm comfortable or the way that I make myself comfortable is I let it be known that I will not stand for certain things. Perfect example, an email was sent out today and we are in the process of joining another company with us, and they're making some changes with leadership positions. And I looked at the leadership boards and everyone had their picture up there and there was no one that looked like me. So I sent an email back and I asked, will there ever be a chance in the future that there will be a more diverse leadership board? I haven't heard anything back, but I asked the question, and that's where it starts. You have to ask the tough questions. You have to say the tough sentiments. You have to state the obvious, unfortunately, in certain situations to, number one, start the conversation. Number two, I guess, get everyone around you to come out of their perspective. So you can't expect everyone to be where you are. Someone might, be thinking about something over here and something over there, and they might not be where you are. But to bring them back to your perspective and to highlight something, you have to state the obvious sometimes. And I found that to be extremely therapeutic and comforting in the space that I'm in. So I know exactly who I am. I know exactly what I expect, and I let it be known.
Yeah, I appreciate that a lot. First of all, the transparency. And if y'all didn't know, like she said, she's very open. And so am I. I told her, go ahead and be transparent with y'all with everything, because this is like real life stuff. And so just like she didn't want to be blindsided with the questions that she gets, we don't want everyone here to be blindsided whenever you get to the workplace, you get to where you are, and then you're like, I'm like the only one here, or you're like, oh, there's only one more, you know, across the room. So Dr. Robinson, do you have anything to say on this question?
Sure do. Well, you know, I've been in the space for quite a while. Veterinary medicine is known as the whitest profession in America. And it just is what it is. There are just not a lot of minorities in veterinary medicine. So I've always felt like an outsider per se, because I'm usually in most of those environments like the one or the two, but normally it's just the one. At my present company, Heartland Veterinary Partners, obviously, I don't feel like I'm the outsider because I'm the boss. So, you know, everybody else is the outsider. You know, we all together make it happen. So it's nice when you're the boss, but still you feel a certain obligation to create as much diversity and inclusion in the workplace as you can. Anywhere where I've seen that, in all the various jobs that I've had in businesses, where I've seen that the inclusion wasn't obvious, that, you know, that we didn't have that kind of environment, I have worked behind the scenes overtly to try to create the most diverse environment that we can. You get there in the workplace and you feel like an outsider. And for instance, even if you don't feel like an outsider, what I found happened at LSU a lot was that everyone, I would say 20 times a day, when I was a student starting, you know, at LSU, I'd come from Southern to LSU, reminded me that I was Black. And after a while, it just got on my nerves. And I would just tell people, hey, look, I'm really comfortable being Black. I don't need you to like continuously figure out or tell me that I'm Black, or make some kind of snide remark regarding, you know, ethnicity and things like that. So I kind of made myself a committee of one to stamp that out and to say, you know, be careful how you speak about things. Be careful how you joke. Understand that the environment here is almost hostile, and be empathetic to what other people are feeling, you know, in this environment. And I used to do that a lot, you know, just kind of speak out. But one of the two things I wanted to mention was, one of the ways that I tried to overcome it was, I guess on weekends, every other weekend, I would go home. I needed that infusion of, you're good, you're great, you can do it, you come from a good stock, and don't let anyone tell you that you can't do it. So I would go and get, of course, food too, but that little infusion, that your support system. I would go to church. You know, I'm from Baton Rouge, so my church was here. So I would go to church and use that environment too, where people can prop you up and put you on a pedestal to give you that energy that you need to go deal with the next week. When I was in veterinary school. So I felt some hostility, but in a lot of cases, the one thing that was really aggravating for me was just that the bias that people have, even if they don't even feel it or understand it, it's obvious to the recipient, you know, that there's a lot of bias. And so how do you deal with that? You have to have a lot of self-affirmations. You have to have a strong support system and continuously work to keep that going. When I was in veterinary school, I pledged, I'm an alpha. I pledged alpha during veterinary school. I was like, I got to be around some brothers who got it going on. And that was a motivator for me to even exceed more once I became an alpha. And I also was in a reader's theater on the general campus, even though I was, you know, at the veterinary school, because I needed those outlets to continue to be a part of something positive. Hope that helped.
No, for sure. I 100% relate when it comes to the support system. Guys, sometimes we're going to be in spaces where you're just like, I need to go home. I need to get out. I need to be around my people. I need to be around my friends. And that's how I am. I mean, if you didn't see the chat, even my dad is here, and my sisters, because that's just what we do. We're family, we support each other. And even they, like, because my sister Courtney, she went to Spelman. And so she was constantly around people who look like her and stuff. And so I don't really get that all the time here at LSU. And then a lot of my peers, of course, feel like the outsider as well. So just make sure that y'all have your support system. And if you don't, that's what MANRRS is for as well. So you can always find your support system here. So moving on to the next question.
And your mother is here too, Kayla.
Hi,
Who's very proud of you, baby. Just wanted to say that, y'all.
So sorry. So the next question.
Don't apologize, Kayla. Your parents are proud of you. Don't apologize. Your parents just did what Dr. Robinson said he went home to get. That affirmation that you're doing well. So let your mama say that, okay?
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Striving to get where you are now, have you encountered someone?
Because I did real her.
Mom, okay. Have you encountered someone who made you feel like
abandon my child?
Who made you feel like you were not good enough or didn't belong? If so, how did you address or handle the situation to find your sense of belonging?
Dr. Robinson, I'll let you go first. Yeah.
Okay, I'll start. Let's see. Have I encountered someone who made me? I would say all throughout veterinary school, I did a fellowship in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Funny thing about that, I arrived there for my fellowship. I had applied and they accepted me. The chairman of the department walked around for 10 minutes. And finally he looked around, he says, "Doggone, where's George?" And I'd been sitting there the entire time. Obviously, he couldn't read through the resume to figure out that I was Black. I have been perpetually in environments where there's someone who wants to, they have a negative racial bias. So by them reminding you that you're Black or suggesting that your environment, your upbringing was different, you know, those are all little what did the singer say? Those are little paper cuts to just start trying to wear you down. And I went through pains to undo that in my head and just ignore them and say, you know what, you're way off here. For some people, I had to literally get them straight and just say, hey, look, you know, you need to back off. You're going down the wrong tree here. And if you're trying to take and break a brother down, you picked the wrong one today. And I had that happen. I would have one-on-ones to say, you know, chill. Or what I would do is just position myself where I could just get over. If there's a sea of negativism, I position myself where I could be above the fray and not like focus so much on it. Because now one thing that can bring you down, I think, is you can focus so much on all that negativism and everything that's going on and how everyone's against you that it drains your time. It's a time suck. And you can be moving forward, but you're too busy fighting. Sometimes that may not be your fight. Let somebody else do that fight and you go on and move on and you be president of the company, okay? And when you get to be president, then you can fight your fight. You know, every fight is not yours to fight. So that's my start. I'm happy to answer questions too, though. Take it away, Victoria.
Thank you, Dr. Robinson. I think we will be able to glean a lot from each other, which is to say a lot. It's sad, in my opinion, that in your wisdom and everything that you've gone through, I'm still going through the same thing. So I will say, yes, I have been made to feel like I don't belong. A manager that I've worked with has made me feel that way. And let me tell you a little bit about me. So going back, I grew up in an entirely Black community, went to an all-Black high school, went to all-Black schools throughout, up until high school, went to an all-Black college. I went to an HBCU. I pledged, I did everything. I decided to go to UGA for grad school, and I get there and it is a culture shock. I have never seen so many white people in one place before. And it was mind blowing to me. And I had to figure out how to maneuver through that. Well, I will say that it did prepare me for the workspace, because it's just different when you bring so many different people together to achieve a common goal, and you have so many different perspectives and so many different, as my mother would say, ways to skin a cat, and everyone thinks that their way is the right way or the correct way. Going back to the manager, she did everything in her power to ensure that I knew where my place was, to ensure that I knew that she was above me, and that there was this power dynamic, this unspoken power dynamic. And she wanted to make sure that I knew who she was and where she stood and who I was and where I was supposed to be. And how did I handle that? I can tell you that I definitely thought about handling it one way, but I went back to my support system. Those other 4 or 5 Black reps that I have that work with me, we are very close, and we bounce ideas off of each other. And you have to have a network. You have to have a group of people that you go to, that you lean on. They don't have to all look like you. They don't have to all think like you. It would be good that they did, but you need some type of system to lean on. And I went to them and I said, y'all, this is beating me down. I don't know what to do. I'm at my wit's end, and I'm about to go off. And I got some of the best advice. I was told that I should think about what I want my brand to be. So I'm in corporate America, right? I have a brand. My name supersedes itself when someone's having a conversation about me. That's your brand. What people are saying about you when you're not there. And they asked me, what do you want your brand to be? What do you want people to say when you're not around? And I said, oh, well, of course I want them to say positive things. And in thinking about that, you can't give anybody anything to say about you if you want them to speak positively about you. So I sat down and I had to rethink everything. How am I going to approach this? And I decided to ensure that nothing else negative could be, not nothing else, but nothing negative could be said about me. I excelled in my territory. I excelled in my work. I ensured that anytime anyone needed anything, I was right there. I had, just a wealth of information to offer things, and I killed them with kindness. It doesn't work in a lot of situations, and you definitely have to tailor it. But when you see where you want to go, sometimes the path you have to take will be around and, up and down and a loop-de-loop. But as long as you get there, that's the whole purpose. That's what you're striving for. So no matter if someone wants you to be down or where they are or bring you down, as long as you don't let them, you win.
Let me add to that too. It's good to have mentors, because when you throw some of that information off of them and they already know you, then they can look and say, hey, I suggest you try this or you try that. But let's say if you don't have a mentor and the situation, someone has their foot on your neck and you can't get the foot off of your neck, there's no shame in leaving and going to another company or creating another environment that's better for you. Sometimes people are afraid to fail, and you can't be afraid to fail, or what people may perceive as failure. So, if you're just in a situation that just seems there's no possible way for you to win, winning may be leaving and moving on to a better environment. And all of a sudden, first of all, your stress level is going to go down like crazy. And then your mind is just going to start coming up with so many ideas that When you were suppressed, the only thing you thought of was that foot on your neck. Now when you can think and you're clear and you know, you can broaden your horizons, some really cool things can happen for you. So, you know, you don't have to just labor in a very negative environment if it's just that negative.
I will agree with you on that because I didn't leave and it was bad. It was bad. So please don't think that you owe anybody anything. You don't owe the company anything. You don't have any loyalty to them. And that's what I thought, you know, I have loyalty to this company or this manager or this person. You don't have any loyalty to them. It's about your mental health and your stress first. So if that is the case and you just don't see a way out, by all means, do what Dr. Robinson said. Leave, please.
Thank y'all. And guys, that applies for us too. That's why there's so many resources for us around campus and stuff for you guys to speak your piece. Because if you don't speak up, if you don't make your mind, if you don't, you know, speak on the uncomfortability that you have, well, then nothing's going to change. You know, you want to be able to be that voice because even if it won't change for you, it might change for the person coming up behind you. And so if you ever feel like you're here on campus or anything, don't be afraid to go tell an advisor because I sure am not myself. There's been plenty instances where I've been bold enough to email a teacher back and be like, I don't feel like you came at me. Well, I didn't say it like that, but I don't feel like you came at me very respectfully. I've been trying hard in your class, but I still don't get, you know, the credit that I should and things like that. And I've had 3 professors in the past 2 years apologize to me, which is apparently rare for professors in the university because they don't expect you to be bold enough to do that. And 2, they don't expect you to be right. Because sometimes it takes them reflecting on themselves as well to realize, you know, the errors of their ways as well. So thank you guys for that wisdom from that question. Keenan, you want to take this one?
Yes, hold on. What are some things current young minority students can do as they go through life to make sure they know they are fairly represented in any room they're in, even if they're the only one? How do we leave our mark to ensure success in this diverse world?
Well, I think Victoria said it right too. Number one, create your brand. You know, who are you going to be? When someone mentions your name, what are they going to say? And that can transcend, you know, any environment. If you stand for something, be it taking care of business, integrity, hyper intelligence, whatever it's going to be, that create your brand. Start working on that now if you haven't done it. And you know, I tell people to put on, you know, throw it on the wall and start your to-be list. Not a to-do list, but a to-be list. What do you want to be? And then what's it going to take to get that? And then start working towards it. So no one can tell you that you're not working towards your goal because they don't know it. That's between you and you. And just continuously work towards your goal. No, understanding that you're going to have a little bit of backsliding that happens, but keep on pushing. You know, keep on keeping on to your goal. Have that to-be list and make that Vader speech. I told the students at the ACT school, you need to have your elevator speech. What is that? In Chicago, you know, we have a lot of high rises. When you get on the elevator and someone tells you, well, hi, who are you? By the time you get to the 30th floor and you get out of the elevator, you should have been able to tell them your entire story. And they call it the elevator speech. So you need to create that narrative of what that is. You know, who you are, what you're about, what you want to leave with someone. You know, are you interesting? Are you the person that, you know what, they should be working for me? You know, who are you? And you need to have that elevator speech and a business card and take it with you everywhere you go. Have that speech. This is who I am. And because you never know who you're going to impress or not impress. So you need to prepare it ahead of time and have that business card because, and you know, you might not be in business. You don't need a business card per se. I call it a social card. Just something that you can put in someone's hand. Well, once COVID is under control. Something you can give to someone, or you get their email in some way that's simple, that's quick, but yet you leave your impression on an individual.
I will piggyback off of that and go a little step further. When I'm at recruiting events and I'm recruiting students, I see some of everything. So I'll tell you what I would like to see. I want students to, if you're on social media very heavily, that's your outlet, that's what you use to, you know, just decompress throughout the day. And it might be some things on there that are raunchy or crazy, whatever, that's fine. Create a second page so that when somebody goes to look for you on social media, this other page isn't popping up, but this one is. So you should have a separate side to you on social media. You should have a LinkedIn. If you have Facebook, you should have a separate Facebook. If you have Instagram, you should have a separate Instagram. And please, if you have a Twitter, have a separate Twitter. Because companies and people, they go and look you up. Anybody that I meet, the first place I go is LinkedIn. The first place I go is LinkedIn. And then from there, if, you know, I go on a deep dive of wanting to know who this person is and more about them. So you can easily find someone on social media nowadays. And we are in the era of everything is on social media. And I'm not telling you to curb what you do or what you say or how you feel. Just separate it. The second thing, be authentically you. You have to be true to yourself at all times, because anything else will shine through brighter than you trying to hide it. So be your authentic self. People are going to accept you or reject you no matter what. So you might as well just be who you are and be comfortable with it. That goes back to the point of your mental health. You know, you want to be comfortable with your skin. And at the end of the day, you don't want to go home and feel like you are taking a mask off. You know, you want to be comfortable and enjoy what you do. The third thing, when you're in settings, whether it be social settings or corporate settings, professional settings, you want to make sure that you network. You network, you network, you network. I know you guys have heard the saying, it's not about who you know, it's not about what you know, it's about who you know. I'll take it a step further. It's not about who you know, it's about what they can do for you or what they know you want out of life. You have to network. Those elevated speeches Dr. Robinson talked about, you never know who you're going to meet in life. You never know if you go jogging one day, if you're going to meet the CEO of a company or someone who has a grand idea that they want to get off the ground and they remember you, or someone who comes into an opportunity and it's not right for them, but they remembered that you wanted to do that and they hand it off to you. You never know. You always want to be ready when you meet someone, just to be able to tell them a little bit about you so that they can remember, you know, this person likes to do this. This person was interested in that. Let me hand this off to them, because there are people out there like that do that every single day. So it's not something that you have to prepare for. I don't want you to feel like this is an assignment, but this is all what is encompassed in your brand, in you being your authentic self and you leaving a little tidbit with someone so that they remember you. You have to know that when you're in a setting that requires you to be social or active or professional, which is every day in life, you're going to find yourself in one of those settings. You have to be on and you have to arise to the occasion.
You know, you just reminded me of something. When I got out of school, I don't know where I got it from, but, you know, I would have conversations with people and it wasn't always positive. It was just, I'm just talking to someone. But I learned something from one of my medical fraternity brothers, Dr. Hale Shelby, for anyone who knows Dr. Shelby. And every time I talked to this guy, he always had something good to say about somebody. You know how you're around your buddies or whatever, and they always got something bad to say if they're dragging for somebody or throwing shade. Well, how about you're that person that every time I talk to you, you have something good to say about someone else. I mean, it knocked me off my feet, and I've never forgotten it. When I'm in social environments, I always find something good to say about someone else. And I think it has helped me because people look and say, wow, the dude's positive, you know, versus when you hear people and everything is negative out of their mouth, or they see someone else and they have something bad to say about them or something negative. People take that and say, ooh, I don't know if I want to work with this person. Or I might want to give them a job, but I don't see them as a CEO. You know, so the message you have within can in many cases be the message that is transcended throughout. So listen to yourself, make sure that it's positive, and try to say something good about somebody else. You'd be amazed. If you make it an exercise, you will see how often you say bad things. And it'll blow your mind. You're like, wow, I just didn't know I was that negative. But when you're out there in the world, this is what people listen to. They hear everything that's coming out of your mouth.
Yeah, and I agree with everything that was said, especially with the advocacy for other people. That's one of my biggest things for me. And if you're sitting here, you're like, well, I can't really help anyone right now. I'm kind of at the bottom. First of all, don't ever think you're at the bottom, because you can help the people who are right next to you. Start there. Start with helping your peers. And that way you become that person who starts rising. And by the time you get to the top, you're like, oh, I can reach back and help this person. I can reach back and help this person. You want to link about this? Because we can collaborate on that. You know what I'm saying? And so when it comes to doing that, I feel like, one, you can advocate for yourself, and you can advocate for others. But like Miss Victoria said, you can only do that if you're branding yourself a certain way, and that you're presenting yourself as that person who, one, you're credible to advocate for others, but you also can be advocated for, so that people can pull you along as well. So we can go ahead and move on to the next one. Oh, did you have something to say, Dr. Robinson?
Well, I was only going to say, you know, I got choked up at the other talk I gave, but everything that I've gotten, I mean, somebody helped me.
Yeah.
You know, somebody helped me. And sometimes people help you and you don't even know they're helping you, but you left a good positive impression when you least expect it. And it goes a long way. So, you know, as you're building your brand, always think about that, you know, no man's an island. We're all out there, and we need each other to do well.
Yes, sir. And then Miss Victoria, this one is for you. So all throughout history, minority women specifically have been mistreated in and out of the workplace. You have broken down these barriers to get where you are today, and you are such an inspiration to the younger generations of minority women who want to do the same. Do you have any encouraging words to help empower them and tips for them to take away today?
You know, I didn't know how I was going to answer this question, but in hearing Dr. Robinson, you just helped me. I was helped here. I don't know how or why, or, you know, I feel like every day I'm in the twilight zone, like, why me? Everything that happened to me in my life, now that I'm thinking about it, I was helped. Somebody reached out or reached back and said, hey, let me show you a different way. Let me bring you up so that you don't make the same mistakes I did. And I will say it is hard out here as a Black woman in corporate America, in the world general, you know, in general. It's hard. And you need your network. You need a sound support system. You need someone or a group of people to lean on, to help like recharge you and build you back up, because it can beat you down. I guess what I would give those coming behind me is to don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't feel like you're too proud. Don't think that it's beneath you. Don't think that it's something that's a scary thing, because so many people out there actually want to help you. They might just not know that you need it, or how to tell you, or how to show you the way. So don't be afraid to ask for help. Another thing, gosh, I have so many ideas running through my head. I would say, going back to building your brand, make sure you network. Make sure you don't have to know where you want to go or know what you want to do, but have some sort of a plan. If someone asks you, hey, what do you want to do with your life? Don't say, I don't know, I haven't thought about it. Or my favorite one, I don't know, I just want an internship this year. Have some sort of a plan in place. Even if it doesn't work out that way, at least you were showing people that you are planning, that you are a planner, that you're a critical thinker, that you can devise some sort of plan and take action. Because life will not always turn out the way it is, but you try planning for it. There's just so much I can say to that. That is a very deep question. Overall, I would say I was helped, and I turn back and I help others. And I think I told you this, Kayla. I said, if anything that you learned from me, from our talk that we had when we first met, I just want you to reach back and help one person, because it was done for me. And that is beautiful. That is a gift within itself, to have knowledge of something and help someone through the same thing so that they don't have it harder than you did. That's how we progress and move forward. And that's what I would want to leave and have everyone take away, is to just ask for help when you need it and reach back and help someone else. Even if it's something that you think is small, it might be so big to someone else. You have no idea. But we have the power to make the change, and we have the power to progress things forward. We just have to speak up. We have to have the courage to do so and to speak up. And we have to have the willingness to want to change and to want to make the change.
Thank you for that. Dr. Robinson, do you have some input on this?
I just had a thought. It's not going to be the perspective of a female.
That's okay.
I'm teasing. I saw that I had my little S Sage Valley thing on my shirt, and I was thinking, get out of your head that you have to be Superman or Superwoman, because all these other folks, they ain't super, okay? They just had maybe the right help, the right opportunity, and then they took advantage of it. That's what you have to do too. And never see yourself as not being qualified or as good, or have that wherewithal. It's just as much in you, and don't get over. Don't get into the mindset like, I'm a veterinarian. Okay, when I went to school, I was going to practice veterinary medicine. A vet doing what I do now as a CEO of a big company didn't exist 10, 15 years ago. I just constantly reinvented myself. But I don't have an MBA, didn't go to business school, and I never looked at that and said, well, okay, I'll be the CEO when I get enough credentials, so I'm Superman. Like, you don't have to be Superman. You just got to be the right person, the right place, with the right attitude, and ready to take care of business.
Amen to that. Yeah, so sometimes some of us can get, a little discouraged, and sometimes when we look at others and we start, one of the biggest things I can advise you as, your peer is, don't compare yourself to the people next to you, because one, you'll never be them, and two, you don't need to be them, because like they kept saying, you're going to build and be your own brand. So do that as you walk. And to all my females, you can do it just as much as anybody else. And then it's empowering, to look back and see how much change has come, and how much that whenever the workforce is starting to change, the demographics of men versus women, those are starting to equal out more and more every day, because we can, and so that's really encouraging to be able to see people like Miss Victoria in the position that she is, and then still, regardless of your gender, have advice from Dr. Robinson to be like, just do it. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be some certain image. No matter what, you can do it. So thank y'all for that.
You're welcome. One quickie, reading my resume and all that stuff, I don't have my resume of failures. It's not in there, but heaven knows it exists. I had a lot of sleepless nights. I have cried like a baby over failure, but it's just a part of perspective and eventual success. So never think that, we're all perfect out there. Very imperfect. But, we keep on keeping on. We strive. We try harder, and we learn from the mistakes.
Exactly. All righty, Keenan, you want to take this one?
Okay. Dr. Robinson, okay. This question is for you. Having over 30 years of veterinary industry experience, being so involved with the LSU community, and leading such a wide variety of businesses in your career field, do you have any encouraging words for our students who seek to follow in your footsteps?
Well, I guess the easiest is that you can do it. I'm not a genius. I'm a guy who just worked hard. I've always had a very strong self-image, though. I won't lie to you about that. So ego is pretty big, but I've been able to take all of that and work within systems. I've always been an organization guy. I've been able to work within systems, understand people, and I think my biggest trait that I've learned over the years, which I did not have in college, is that I'm a good listener. I can actively listen your tail off. I mean, I listen, and as I listen, it gives me insights, and then I listen enough, get what I need to hear, and then I speak. And I'm not a big small talker, but when I speak with authority and with knowledge. And in some circles, that's important. So I would say, I've given you a lot of the basics, have your elevator speech, prepare yourself, and what are you waiting on to prepare yourself? Go ahead and start. When you sign off, if you hadn't done anything, do something tonight, and don't make it so big that you just never get it done. Just start with small things and then just start building up, because if you're the kind who have to have that, that incremental success, those affirmations, then give it to yourself. Be good to yourself, and start picking at it little by little, and eventually you'll get to the bigger picture.
Miss Victoria, is there anything you would like to add?
Well, I'm not 30 years in yet, so I will just speak for my little 5 years that I have. I agree with Dr. Robinson. Just go for it. I know it's easier said than done, because it's so daunting when you start to think about everything that goes into it. But whatever it is that you want to do, whatever it is that excites you, go for it. Just start. Don't think. Just do it. I can sit here and say, in listening to Dr. Robinson and seeing that he is the CEO of his own company, I mean, that is, if that's not inspiring to you guys, it's inspiring to me. I'm like, what can I do so that I can be, on the same level, and I can call myself the CEO one day? Like, I sit here and I look at you, Dr. Robinson, and I'm just like, wow, this is really inspiring. So I'm hoping that you guys are gleaning from this as well, and you see and feel the same things, because it can happen. It does happen. It will happen. All it takes and all it starts with is you. So what are you waiting on? Don't get off the call now. We want to hear some questions, but any questions?
All right. So thank y'all for that. Again, Y'all are probably, I mean, it's being recorded, so I know I'm probably gonna go back and rewatch this a whole bunch of times whenever I feel like, you know, I'm stuck or I'm frustrated with something. Because at the end of the day, you can do it. It's a long, long process, but the most thing that you need to look at is the progress that you make along the way, because that's what matters every single step.
Hey, Kayla,
So,
I will
yes,
tell,
sir.
you know, the rest of the students listening, as I told you, link in. Don't hesitate to link in with me if you have questions or there's something you want to tell me confidentially. It'll be confidential. And, you know, let me know what's going on or how I can help you. And glad to do that. I'm sure Victoria would say the same.
Absolutely. Please find me on LinkedIn.
Yeah, work that network and let's all help each other get better.
So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and go for open discussion. Guys, don't be afraid to type in the chat or unmute yourself if you have any specific questions or really about anything. So don't think it's limited, but if anyone has any questions, now's your time.
Hi, my name is Lauren, and I don't know, I guess my question would be, do you think that it's still possible to be successful, or I won't say it's easier, but do you think that it's still possible to be successful without being a straight A 4.0, you know, president of every club student?
Absolutely.
Ditto.
Absolutely. You know why, Lauren? Because straight A students might have one perspective of how to get something done. A C student might have a different perspective of how to get something done. A D student might have a different perspective of getting something done. And in the end, whichever way works best is what works best. It doesn't matter in business or in life if you are an A student or C student or D student. Question is, did you get it done? How did you arrive to it? And was it better, a better overall, you know, outcome, or did you enhance something that we were doing before, like a system? Did you make it better? That's all I care about. I don't care what you made in school. You know, can you think critically, and can you teach me how to arrive to the same conclusion that you did?
Can you motivate? Can you convince? Talk about the A, B, C, D student. One of the things I learned as a leader is how to be a good follower. And you know, you can't always be the drum major. And when you try to create what in my company, we have a collaborative environment. You know, I've left a lot of meetings with and wanted to head to the doctor to get my tongue sewed back up because I had to bite it so much. You just learn that one person can't do it alone. You know, I need 2,000 other people. And the way to do that sometimes is to just be quiet and pull people together and collaborate and come up with a shared vision. You know, my company is based on servant leadership, and that's where anybody in my company can call me or text me directly. And a lot of companies aren't that way. We want to interact, and you don't have to be an A student to do that. Or a B student. You can have W's. Somebody, I think, asked me, what do I do if I have a W? So what? You withdrew. Go take the next class and get an A or whatever, you know, score you need to get. I mean, you know, you get so wound up in academia that you think that that's the world. That's the academic world. There's a big world out there with all kinds of things going on and opportunities for you to realize your dreams.
And you know, it also is what makes a person diverse. That's one of those diverse traits that I look for. It's not just skin color or gender. If you are a B student or a C student, great. Come on, let me talk to you. You know, I want to know more, because the way that my brain works and the way your brain works might be totally different. And that's beautiful to me. So you definitely can do anything. And I'm not saying that it's you, Lauren, but anybody out there who might be a C, B, D, W, X, Y, Z, I don't care. You are great and you're going to help change the world. You just got to speak up. So thank you for your question, Lauren. That was a really good question.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have any questions?
Yes, actually I do. Hi, I'm Raina Washington. I'm a first-year environmental management systems major. And my question is, we talked a lot about being a minority in a majority white space, but I want to know if you guys have dealt with negative remarks from people that look like us and how you've dealt with that energy and have gone forward with that. And thank you for your remarks and insight tonight. I really appreciate it, Miss Birdsong and Dr. Robinson.
Victoria, you want to go first?
Oh gosh. Yes, Raina. It happens. Yes, it does. My favorite saying is all skin folk ain't kinfolk. It happens, and I think to me that hurts more than the other way around, you know. Because when you are in a space where it's one or two or three of you, you naturally gravitate towards the people that look like you. You naturally gravitate towards the person who you feel like you're gonna have that bond with. And when it doesn't happen, it's devastating. It's like, oh man, I'm out here alone again, you know, like I don't know what's going on. I will say it's hard to try to navigate around that when it does happen, but it's good when it happens because it reminds you that people are people. So it doesn't matter what they look like or, you know, what their skin color is or their gender. People are people are people. Some of them will disappoint you. Some of them will just, you know, make you giddy and excited and surprise you. But at the end of the day, it's about their personality and their person. And when I learned that, I had to see that for myself. It put me in the mindset of saying, okay, I'm going to deal with this person at their person level and this person at their person level, instead of saying this Black person or these Black people or these white people. You know, you can't group everybody together. So it happens. It's devastating when it happens, but you learn from it. And what you do with what you learn from that is what's going to be most important.
I agree. And you know, African Americans, we're not monolithic. I mean, you're going to have different opinions and different points of view, and people who, like I said, are going to throw shade on you. And you just learn to live with that. But at the end of the day, you have to be confident about yourself. That's why I said you have to understand what you want to be and how you're going to get there. And it doesn't matter what other people say, because you're confident about your path and how you're going to blaze that path. But yeah, I mean, yeah, sometimes when you're thinking, oh, thank goodness, there's a brother. And then you talk to him for a while, you're like, oh, well, never mind. That's just life.
Wow. Even I couldn't even think of a question that deep. That was such a good question, Raina. Oh my gosh. And I thank y'all for being honest about that as well, because, you know, like she said, not everybody's on your team all the time. So even here, unfortunately, even within the Black community, not everybody's rooting for you. You know, you start to have the same faces coming for you, and you're not even doing anything. But as long as you're your biggest cheerleader on your own, look, who cares? You know, you can make it to the top by yourself, and then bring up the people around that person who didn't want to treat you fairly. So
I want to add something to that. It causes you to build confidence. And when you have confidence about yourself, you walk different, you speak differently, you are different. And that is exuded when you are just around so many different people. You can walk into a room and not even say anything, and people just feel your energy. So use it, you know, when it happens to you, because it will happen, Raina. Trust me, it will. I want you to use that to build up your confidence so that someone else notices you and says, I want to know that girl's name. I want to know what she's about. Let me hear her elevator speech.
And don't let anyone take it from you. Hold on to it. I mean, that's yours, and no one can take that from you unless you give it to them.
True.
Like there was an old saying, no one can ride your back unless it's bent.
I haven't heard that
Never
one,
heard
but
that. That's actually,
okay.
yeah.
That's very
That
old
was a good
school.
one though. Oh my gosh. Does anyone else have any questions before we start wrapping it up?
So, my name is Lauren, and I was wondering, what was y'all's like aha moment, or the moment that you all knew, what you wanted to do in life?
I still don't know what I wanted to. No, you know, to be honest, it can still change. Like I'm 29 and I don't see myself doing this for the next 20, 30 years. So that aha moment never arrived for me in the sense of, like my parents, where they stayed in a job for 20, 30 years and retired from it. I take joy in saying, I have these number of skills and I want to ensure that I plug and play here and there and make sure that I'm building those skills and I'm building myself. So I'm not sure if your question is in what I'm doing now or just in general, but my aha moment really never arrived for me to say, oh, I want to do this. I talk a lot. I'm very charismatic and I can sell water to a fish. So that's why I'm in sales. But I'm so much more than that. I know that. And in building myself and networking and meeting people, I know I'm going to reach different levels in life and I'm going to have different paths and occupy different spaces. So I don't know. I guess I haven't reached that yet because I'm so new in my career. Dr. Robinson, have you?
Yeah, well, every time I've always been, I guess, I don't think I was a nerdy kid, but, I read a lot and certainly I still do. And I love reading biographies because I love to hear how other people did it and their trials and tribulations. But I get aha moments all the time. And then what I figure is, how can I empower myself to live that dream? I went into politics. I was a civic leader. I ran my veterinary practice. I went into management, and after my veterinary practices, there was no such thing as a veterinarian CEO. I was like, that's interesting. Think I'll do it. So, once you empower yourself, the sky is the limit. You can tomorrow morning and come up with something that no one else has done, and they're willing to pay you a fortune just to hear about it. You'd be amazed. So just keep a broad perspective as you can. Don't try not to get monolithic in your ideas and your views on things, and just keep searching and looking for opportunities and absorbing information. Your brain is probably as astute as it's ever going to be, like right now. And just start looking at, think of possibilities. And then whatever it is, like Victoria said, just do it.
Those are all great questions. And I appreciate everyone who is speaking up. I know sometimes it can be a little nerve-wracking even behind a computer to ask our questions that we have, but right now we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. And I just want everyone to just give a big thank you. If you don't wanna type it, just say it out loud, even if you're muted. But a big thank you to our panelists for today, because let me tell y'all something. I was so nervous. I'm gonna be real honest. I was nervous about this because this is my first event as president. So I was like, I need this to be good. So my mentors had my back and I loved it. But I'm sorry, I'm weird. But anyways, thank y'all again for coming and getting all this knowledge and wisdom. Again, it was recorded. But I hope y'all gained something from this event. I just wanted y'all to be able to know that it's not a perfect road. You're not just going to get there one way. It's not going to be, oh, everyone's going to love you. Everyone's going to like you. There's ups and downs. And whether you're the minority or you're the majority, no matter what, you still have to make it there on your own. And so you have to make your brand, be yourself, make your to-be list. And like I typed in the chat, your to-be list is your aha moment. You know, whenever you get an idea, whenever you feel like, oh, I want to be this, I want to do that, that's when you're like, okay, that's it. That's what I want to do. And have a whole bunch of those and just go for it. So thank you again to our panelists. And if anyone has any last minute questions or anything you just want to get in there, you can go ahead and email it to me. And I can ask them whenever I can, and they can go ahead and try to get those answers back to me when they can. But other than that, do you panelists have anything if you that you want to say?
Keep on keeping on.
And just do it. Get out there and just do it. And you guys, feel free to, you know, message me on LinkedIn if you had a question that you didn't get a chance to ask tonight. I love hearing from you guys. I really, really do. And I mean that. Ask Kayla. She messaged me. She was the only student that took my advice, and she messaged me. And we check in on each other. We have great conversations. So, hey, if any of you need anything, please reach out.
Oh, one last thing too. When I was at LSU in veterinary school, I think it was maybe 1,200 African-American students in the entire university. So I are extremely proud of you. And so just understand that whatever you're dealing with, we are extremely proud of you. You are living the dream.
That is. That's Dr. Robinson and Ms. Bird Song, I'd like to thank you for sharing the knowledge that you shared today. I mean, it gave me some insight from my days as a student at Southern and then going on to Oklahoma State. It reminded me of the struggles that I face. And I served to work with Kayla and with the other students in MANRRS to ensure that the success that they are desiring, that they can have, and that it can be theirs. They just have to just keep pushing on for it. And if I can say one more thing, Dr. Robinson, I know your dad and your mother.
Well,
and you come from good stock. I know you come from good stock.
My mother's over in the other room. I'm gonna remind her because she thinks.
Well, you tell Gina Eubanks, and she'll know me from home economics. Yes, from home economics. So thank you so much. Y'all did a wonderful job. And I'm sure I will convey it to our Vice President, Dr. Richardson, and to Dr. Elzer to say this was awesome. Kayla, you did a beautiful job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kayla.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Alrighty, guys, that concludes our event. If you have any questions or anything, you can stick around. Sorry, email me. But other than that, y'all are free to go. And I thank y'all again for coming so much.
Thank you. This was really nice.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.